Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We continue with football. The Trinidad and Tobago Premier League enters its fourth round this weekend, and these are the matches down to be contested. So we have W Connection up against Morva Caledonia United. San Juan Jablotay will play Central FC. Point Fortin up against Cunupia. La Hoquita play Sando. Port of Spain up against Prison Service. And Police will be seeing the Defence Force. This is how the table looks now. So Central FC at the top of the standings on 7 points. They've played 3 matches so far, won 2 and lost none. They only drew 1. Sando in second position on 7 points. Port of Spain in third with a total of 6 points, and Morva Caledonia round out the top 4 on 4 points. Let's take a look now at the bottom of the table. We have Cunupia in 10th spot on 3 points. San Juan Jablotay, having played 3 matches, they have 1 point. And Police, what's happening to them? They're yet to get a point. They've played 2 matches, so they still have that extra match versus the other teams. Well, joining us now is football commentator based in Trinidad and Tobago, James Saunders. Good afternoon, James. How are you?
Hi, Mariah. So good to be here. Good to see you wearing a Barca jersey as well. So I'm very pleased by that start.
Well, you know I know good stuff, so thanks for that.
Certainly.
All right, James. So for our viewers who are not familiar with the TT Pro League, which are the teams to watch?
Well, you'll be forgiven for thinking that the table was inverted at the moment, because if you just woke up from a coma from 5 years ago and you looked at that table, you'll be like, yeah, there's something definitely wrong with that. Police at the bottom, Defence Force, W Connection, low down there. The teams to watch, you got to go with the favourites. That is Terminex La Hoquita Rangers, Defence Force, W Connection, San Juan Jablotay. With history, they've shown that they are the most successful teams, Terminex La Hoquita Rangers, more so in recent time. What we've seen in the opening 3 rounds of the competition, though, is, big surprises. You see the likes of AC Port of Spain, who really is a club that came around just about 2 years ago, up and running on top there with Club Sando, a young bunch of guys recently coming up on the zonal competition, just 1 season really at the top flight and being in second position. And then, of course, the surprise leader, Central FC, who, at the top of the table, they've got a squad stacked with talent, but older talent. So, it's still early days. It's still too early to put your fingers on it, because I would have lost my money already if I were betting at the start of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Can you share with us a bit about the structure? Because from what I understand, there'll be no relegation.
Yes, it's the first real season of the TT Premier League. Of course, we would have had the TT Pro League before this and the National Super League, which would have been the Tier 1 and Tier 2 competition. We haven't had football here in Trinidad and Tobago since the pandemic. It's been almost 3 years without any real football. The Ascension Tournament did fill that space slightly. So the new TT Premier League really is a merging of all the stakeholders coming together with the Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation and saying, hey, we're going to have 1 competition. It's still in its infancy. There's still a lot of teething issues to take place in terms of the real structure of it. But for now, we started with 12 teams. Some of the Super League teams have been merged into the Pro League competition. Pro League competition usually would have around 8 teams. So 4 teams, getting a graduation of sorts to come up to the competition. So in this first season, it's just going to be 1 league structure. And basically the winners, no relegation. Maybe next season we would see a different structure where they'll have a bit more time to see how it would have run in the first season and then put other structures in place.
Right, and the top 2 teams, is it that they qualify for the CONCACAF Club Championship? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, most certainly. And I think that's one of the real reasons that we needed to have a TT Premier League up and running, in that we haven't had teams being part of the CONCACAF competition for quite a while. I mean, we can argue that perhaps we didn't have football at the top flight, but also there was also a compliancy issue happening here in Trinidad and Tobago with clubs. To enter this competition, all clubs must be compliant with all of the regulations. And, so from this season going forward, the top 2 teams would move on to Caribbean competition and then, potentially CONCACAF.
And quickly, James, the league, is it a straight league, home and away? The regular season will include how many matches?
just 2 rounds of matches.
Yes.
The full season would start in September.
Yes.
But for now, the competition is going to start with just 2 rounds of matches. Home and away. Well, I mean, it's fancy to say home and away, but there's a shortage of grounds. Of course, there come a few games happening here in Trinidad and Tobago. So they've just handpicked about 5 venues across the country. Matches will be played in that. Some teams will be home, some teams will be away. Some teams may have a bit more advantage in terms of that. But that is the structure of the competition until September, where it will be extended. Okay.
And I heard you mention La Horquetta as one of the top teams that you're looking at. I saw that they have signed up Atola Guerra, who is a former national. He previously played for Central FC, didn't he? But he's 35 years old now, but getting goals. I saw him score in a couple of games against Grenada when they were having their friendlies. And I think he scored against W Connection this week, did he?
Yeah, he scored a double. In fact, he's the first player to score 2 goals in the new competition. He's 35 years old, but, make no mistake, Atula Guerra is a player full of quality. And even though he's getting down in age, he's still handing his calling card to national coach Angus Eve, saying, hey, look, I'm here. I'm available if ready. Timanex Rocketa Rangers has almost been the Galactico of local.
All right, so I think we lost James Saunders over there, but I was just about to tell him, of course, thank you so much, and I'm so happy to see, the TNT Premier League back in Trinidad and Tobago. And just to remind you, all viewers, that, of course, the Trinidad and Tobago Premier League will be live here on your Home of Champions. So for those of you that love watching football and would like to see the stars emerging out of Trinidad and Tobago, you can catch all the action right here. All right, well, still with regional domestic football, we're going to continue. The Jamaica Premier League enters match week 20 this weekend, and these are the fixtures down to be contested. So in Jamaica now, Portmore versus Falkland, Chapelton up against Montego Bay, Mount Pleasant play Malines, Vare United against Arnett Gardens, Cavalier play Harbour View, Tivoli up against Humber Lion, and Waterhouse, they play Dunbeholden. This is how the table looks so far. Arnett Gardens at the top of the table on 38 points, having played 19 matches. Cavalier just 1 point away from Arnett Gardens. They are in second position. Mount Pleasant in third on 36 points. So, this is the top 3 separated by 1 point each. Harbourview round out the top 4. They're on 33 points. In fifth position, we have Waterhouse, having played 19 matches on 30 points. Now let's take a look at the bottom of the table. In 12th spot, Vare United. They've also played 19 matches. They have 15 points. Falkland, 19 matches, a total of 10 points. And Chapelton, they've gotten to 7 points so far. 3 wins, 4 draws, 12 losses. Well, so after 19 match weeks, the battle for the 2 automatic semi-final playoff spots is heating up. The second match of Sunday's televised doubleheader sees defending champions and 4th placed Harbourview against Cavalier. Well, our JPL analyst, he needs no introduction anymore, Leger Williams. He joins us on set. Leger, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Anytime.
Next time, I'm not telling you welcome. You're a resident now. Well, how do you see this 6-pointer turning out and its impact on the battle for a top 2 finish?
This game will be extremely important. I've been here several times. I've almost talked about Harbourview as being dead in the water in terms of how they were playing, but no matter what their shortcomings are, they're champions. Their coach said at the beginning of the season that winning breeds winning, and that's exactly what has been happening. They've caught form. They're now unbeaten in 6 games, 4 wins, 2 draws in that run. Cavalier, for their own right, are unbeaten in 5, but Harbourview are really pressing on, really challenging those top 3 positions, looking to get even closer to the top 2. And with a win, they'd get within 1 point of Cavalier. They'd get equal on points with Mount Pleasant, albeit Mount Pleasant has played a game less. This is assuming, of course, Mount Pleasant don't get a result over the weekend. But that just goes to show that Harbourview are really, they know what to do to get the results at the latter stage of the season. They did it last season when they won the title, and they're doing it yet again. As I said, I don't think they're as strong as the top 3 teams, but they're really pushing on, and who can say they can't do it again?
Yeah, what type of match are we to expect? Is it one with a lot of goals? Do you see it being a tough game to score? What can we expect?
Ooh, that's always really tough to predict when it comes down to JPL football, because you never know on the day. They'll be playing at Jamaica College, so maybe the surface can play a part in the game as well. But just going off Cavalier games, they usually have a lot of goals in their games. They have Dwayne Atkinson, who's catching some serious form right now, scoring some lovely goals. He has 7 league goals. Colin Anderson has scored in a little portion at a time by his standards this season, but he has 14 goals in the competition. And when it comes down to Harbour View, they have Christopher J. Daly, who has caught some good form as well, and he's really propelling their attack moving forward. So it is going to be a really good game. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm really glad to be covering it with you, yes, sir, lads.
Yeah, you know what? I have a lot of time for Dwayne Atkinson. You know, I've spoken highly of him from time to time, and I do believe he should be scoring more goals than he is at the moment. Cavalier have played unbeaten against Harbour View in their last 4 meetings, which tells you something about how Ludlow Bernard strategizes for Cavalier as an opponent. We know that Rudolph Speed is a very studious coach as well. But I kind of like, as you just referenced, Harbour View's ability in the past couple of seasons to get their game at its best when it's needed. And Ludlow Bernard told me last week that Christo J. Daly, who is just recently back into the Harbour View setup, has a bit of an injury issue, so he can't play 90 minutes. But they're working on him. And I am suggesting that based on his quality, the fitter he gets and the more playing time that he gets, Harbour View will become more dangerous with him.
I assume so as well. I think he's actually really similar in terms of how talismanic he is in terms of Dwayne Atkinson as well.
Yeah.
So he can really propel attack by himself. Yes, he'll need someone to finish chances from time to time, but as you mentioned, Harbour View are really peaking at the correct time. They're really getting into form. They're getting into stride. It's a bit of a surprise to me personally that they're doing this, but I still think they have a lot of quality in their squad. And when you have good coaches, as I've alluded to on several occasions, you're going to eventually get results because coaching is what wins you titles. And
yes.
Lola Bernard is amongst the best that we have in the country.
Yeah, we just saw that Christo J. Daly goal. I think he's just still 20 years old, fresh from a stint in Slovenia where injury issues, I understand, sort of scuppered his ability to flourish with FC Koper where he was. But a player with immense quality. I want to look very quickly, though, at that top 6, Leger, because Portmore and Dunbeholden are 7th and 8th at the moment, and both are 5 points off a playoff position, being held at the moment by Humberland and Waterhouse, both on 30. But Waterhouse are on a 3-game winning streak at the moment. Humberland have stumbled a bit, but they're a strong team. I am thinking that while Portmore and Dunbeholden are in a position to challenge for playoff spots, the teams immediately ahead of them, I don't think are going to give much away in the back end of the season.
Well, I'm going to have a bold prediction here on the show.
Yes.
I said it earlier. I do think, not that I don't think Humberland is a good team. I think they're a really good team. I think they're really well coached.
Yeah.
But just by the quality that Portmore have, I'm going to make the bold prediction. With 7 games left and 5 points to pass Humberland, Portmore are going to do it. They're going to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen after that.
Yeah.
But I do think that Portmore will get into the playoffs just based on the quality they have and even the form.
Yes.
Because they beat Arnett Garden in the Links Cup, which will have...
The knockout this week.
Yeah, and Sports beat them 3-2, come from behind at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. So that's even a big confidence boost as well because Arnett has been beating those bigger teams. So, yeah, that's going to be a really interesting battle.
How much of that view hinges on the acquisition of Alex Marshall and Lamar Walker for Portmore?
99% of it. Not that they didn't have quality players beforehand, but when you introduce one of the best goal scorers in the island and one of the best creative players in the island into a team that already was very well coached, already had leadership at the back with Rudolph Austin, already had some good players all across the field, that's just a recipe for success. So I think that's going to be a really, really good team going forward.
Yeah. Well, Montego Bay United, they parted ways with head coach Donovan Duque, replacing him with 58-year-old Brazilian Nira dos Santos. Montego Bay chairman Orville Powell says Duque was relieved of his duties primarily because he lost the dressing room. This is what he said. Duque has lost most of the youngsters, meaning they have just stopped coming to training because even if they come, they feel they will not get any game. It is not something that he does not see, and we have not come together to understand. So nobody can say that I fired Duque. It is something that we sat down and he said to me that the team needs another voice. Continue. Duque is one of the best coaches in Jamaica. He brought us from scratch and did some great work. But he wants to win, and he has a team that is basically not in a position to win right now. That is why things broke down. We want some younger players in and we want to build on younger players, and we do not have the players to get that kind of result. So Leger, you're close to the action. Your thoughts on, Duki no longer being with the team and the new coach coming in?
Well, I think Duki is a fantastic coach, especially in a defensive sense. He's shown what he can do. I actually thought that it was the complete opposite of what happened. I thought that it was Duki maybe trying to just get the best out of his squad, and then they're not giving him time to do that. But in actuality, judging by the owner's comments in that instance, it was really they want to build from the base up and use some younger players who just seem demotivated, really, going into the setup. So it's a clash of styles in that essence, because young players don't tend to do well in defensive setups because of the concentration and work that you have to do in those setups. So I understand why Duki was trying to get those results, and then when you're not getting the results and then using those older players, you're always going to be called into action in terms of the owner to try and see if he can get a different result.
And I guess neither does Santos, with some Caribbean experience prior to now. He had coached Montego Bay United probably 10 or 12 years ago, and he was national coach of the Bahamas, Guyana, and the Cayman Islands as well. So he is aware of Caribbean football. So I think that might be a plus for him going back to Montego Bay United.
I think he will be. They clearly see him as someone who can nurture the younger players, because that's what they're trying to push through. Because I mentioned previously that I don't think Montego Bay United has a lot of quality, especially in terms of an attacking sense. So maybe they feel like fostering the younger players in those positions for the rest of the season and just trying to stay safe. They're 11 points above the drop. They're definitely safe, in my opinion. So just trying to foster the young players, and then maybe next season then we'll see more of an explosion, because we know that Mobe United has really, really big ideas on what they want to do going forward.
Yeah, and Leger, for the first time ever, we'll be having two Brazilian coaches going up against each other in the Jamaica Premier League. What do you expect from these coaches? What do you think? How do you think the matchup is going to go?
Favela, man. Jokes aside, they don't have the players, I think, to really imprint what they want to do onto the teams. And it's still relatively soon, in terms of Clovis de Oliveira for Chapelton. He has had time, he's gotten the win, but Chapelton really don't have the quality. They already resigned to the drop. In terms of Montego Bay United, I think it's a better project because they have more time to maybe try and implement some different things, experiment for the rest of the season. 7 games to go for them. They won't be making the playoffs, but they won't be getting relegated either. It's a weird place to be in terms of motivating the players, but it can be interesting.
Yeah, so did we get a prediction from you on the big match on Sunday or not?
Harbour vs Cavalier.
You analysed it, but I can't remember if you gave
I didn't give a prediction. I was hoping that you wouldn't put me in that position.
Well, you're in the spot now, so...
That's a tough one. Just judging by the fact that Cavalier have not beaten any of those big teams so far this season, I can't see them doing it. I might have to go for Harbourview, just inching this one out,
Okay.
Maybe a one... No, I see Cavalier scoring, so I'm going to go for either a 1-0 draw or a 2-1 Harbourview win.
All right, Leger. I'm looking forward to see if you are actually right. Thank you so much for joining us here on set, and we'll talk again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, it's break time now here on the SportsMax Zone. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news, and entertainment.